Hello, you beautiful people. Welcome to this very raw, unedited, not an actual episode of Which Way From Here, where I explain where did we go? What happened? Why was there such a huge gap in between the last episode and the next episode? I already did an Instagram live where I gave the basics, but I wanted to come on here and kind of go deeper into it because I think it's a kind of an important piece on how to dive into your life. So, the long and short of it is that I made the really crazy ass decision to quit my job with no safety net. I don't have a savings. I'm deeply in debt. I barely had any money in my checking account. I did cash out my retirement so that I had enough money to get me through the end of the year. But I knew there were tons of signs, and I checked in with my body over and over and over again to make sure because, oh boy, do I have a lot of doubt. Oh boy, do I have a lot of doubt. But all the signs were there that it was time to leave my day job and trust fall into the universe and know that it was going to catch me. And like, it was basically me killing off the last bit of my old life. And it was so funny because I wanted out of that day job for so fucking long. So long. I just wanted out of the day job. And of course, it was the last thing to go because that's how it always seems to work. But I had this whole life that, for the last 10 years, longer, honestly, I was just living by other people's rules and other people's expectations. I come from a very hyper pragmatic family. And God love them. I love my parents so much. They're very, very supportive. And they're of a generation, Dad was silent generation. Mom is an older boomer. And, they know nothing but the pragmatic side. And there's value there. There's value to that. And I do not blame them for raising us with that because that is how you survived in the world. And everything has changed. And I refuse to continue to live by other people's rules and expectations and needs and fears. And the scarcity narrative and all of that. Like, fuck that noise. I lived in diminished mediocrity for so long. And, my relationship had a lot of beautiful things about it, but it was a relationship based in codependence, fear, and settling for, this is pretty good. And it was, honestly, my ex-husband was a wonderful person who I want to have an amazing life, but he and I did not help each other flourish. He and I kept each other copacetic. We kept each other comfortable, but not thriving. And when it became very, very clear that if I wanted to live my truest, biggest, most amazing life, I couldn't stay in that relationship, and I couldn't stay in the life that I had built over the last 10, 15, 20 years. And so I set fire to all of it, starting with the relationship and then killing off a whole lot of internal narratives, killing off a whole lot of scarcity stories that I was conditioned into. And then finally, after a whole lot of working on trauma release and that kind of thing, it was very clear that it was time to kill off the last bit of my old life, and that was walking away from my old job. So I did. October 1st. Well, technically September 29th was my last day, but uh, for symmetry, for a nice wrap it up with a bow kind of feeling, October 1st was like my first day of being emancipated. And so I thought I was going to just like dive right in to all these different projects that I want to do, which way from here being a course number one. And that did not work out. So the hiatus with the podcast, like I had done this interview with John Killian of XP Planus podcast. Wonderful dude, wonderful guy. I can't wait to get that edited and out. That is going to be the next episode. The audio is shitty on my end, but I'm going to put it out anyway. Anyway, so I had done the interview with him and I was excited about it, but like every time I try to do an intro, like it just kind of died in my system. And with all of the energy clearing that I have been doing, the trauma release and energetic hygiene and that kind of thing, I am hyper aware of when things are not alight in my body. It means that they're not meant to come forth into physical reality yet. And unfortunately, for an extended period of time, which way from here kind of died in my system and went completely dormant. No matter how much I wanted to work on it, I just couldn't. It just would not come alive in my system, in my body system. And I had to honor that. I had to honor that it was time to let it rest and let myself rest, let my body rest, let my mental layers rest, and just grieve and transition out of my old life and to be okay with that. I can't tell you how often I caught myself just being so afraid of not producing something. Like, oh, I have all this time and I'm not doing anything, quote unquote, doing anything with it. What am I doing? Like, oh, I'm not making income. What am I doing? Just that whole story of you're only as useful as your output. Like, fuck that noise. We're not doing that anymore. So yeah, I had to just be okay with the fact that which way from here needed to be on a long hiatus. And that when I did come back, I had my friends and supporters who would be there ready and willing to give it another go. So yeah, that's kind of what happened with which way from here. And while I apologize for such a long period of time, I also know that it was the right thing to do because I don't want to put something shitty out. I mean, it's already really amateur because I'm learning on the fly. And like I said, this next episode it's good. But the audio on my end is just so bad because I made a mistake with what I chose to use as my microphone, which was a pair of Bose headphones. I thought that the microphone on it was going to be pretty good because I had used it for Instagram lives, and I was wrong. Oh boy, was I wrong. And the audio just is not good, and I will never use those again. So another sharp learning curve moment for me. But I'm going to put it out anyway, warts and all, just like this particular non-episode episode. Okay, so future of which way from here. So like I said before on the Instagram live, if you happen to watch that and are listening to this, like I said on that, I am hoping to start putting out the episodes maybe once a week, maybe every other week, depending on how I can record and what shows up to be recorded. I have several clearing stories that I want to tell. And I'm going to be getting together with my friends who had joined me on those different little adventures. So I'm going to get those recorded in the next couple of weeks. Rachel and I are planning to go to House of Wills with my friend Elizabeth on the 28th. And I'm really looking forward to that because House of Wills has been on my haunted Ohio location bucket list. And it's been really in my awareness. I think there's something there for me to clear, to be honest, because paranormal spots, paranormal tourist sites often have a lot of bottom feeders that are feeding off of people seeking thrills. And that's not a judgment. I go there seeking thrills too. You know, those are my people. Those are my spots. I love them. And there's a lot of not so good energies that need to be taken out. And I'm going to do that. Probably. Maybe. We'll see. Either way, House of Wills is happening, and Rachel and I will record hopefully the night of and get that out for our extra special spooky Halloween episode. Yeah, and then the plan is to travel to different Ohio sites to check them out, see what I feel. Rachel has a day job. Of course, she has a full-time job, so it's a little bit harder for her. So she'll be bopping in and out as she can. You mostly are just going to get me. But hopefully Rachel can start joining more as her schedule clears up as well. But we have plans on going to Gettysburg in the spring. That should be really fun. It's going to continue to grow and it's going to get more interesting, and we're going to get into the flow of things, and Which Way From Here should be quite the podcast within, 6 months, a year's time, when I really understand what the hell I'm doing here. And of course, it's going to grow and meander and evolve, and it's going to be little bits of paranormal because I love that. It's going to be clearings. It's going to be, conversations with friends about existentialism and all that fun stuff. It's going to be whatever the fuck I want this podcast to be. And it'll be at least interesting to me. And I appreciate you all who are here on this ride with me. So yeah, I think I've rambled at you long enough. Like I said, I'm not even going to edit this thing. I'm just going to let it be as tangential and ridiculous as it is. But I do want to say again that living a life of authenticity is about being brave and saying no to comfort, saying no to the conditioning that we were all raised in, and saying yes to our ambitions and our audacity to dare be unrealistic, to dare to be irrational and illogical, and all of those things that we're told are wrong, but are so necessary in order to break out of our confines. So if you're listening to this and you're teetering on the edge of jumping into the abyss of your creativity and your most authentic life, I take this as a sign. Go do it. Go do it. There is no failure. There is experience. And whatever happens, it's going to be worth it. I know it is. Because already my life is extraordinary. I have never been more in love with my life and with myself and the entire felt experience of Corinne Libita than I am right here, right now. So, go do it. Join me. Join me on this revolution. All right. That's all I've got. I love you all. And I will see you soon for the John Killian episode. Goodbye for now.